We ready? Start. I am happy to be with you this morning to inaugurate your annual session and to attend your national conference. Speaking at such important business conferences is a matter of pleasure for me. But before accepting the invitation from the organizers, this time I wondered whether the pleasure of inaugurating your annual session comes with a price tag because for the third consecutive year, the CIIS annual session has been inaugurated by a different Prime Minister. Your President has said some good words about me in his welcome remarks. They are no doubt pleasing to my ears, but they also remind me of the enormous expectations people have from me and from my government. In the recently concluded general elections, the people have given a mandate to the BJP and its allies to govern. At the same time, it is a fractured mandate. The challenge before us is to do full justice to our job, even though we have a fractured mandate. Para, I assure you that in spite of some teething problems, the people's desire to see a stable, strong and action-oriented government in New Delhi will be fulfilled. We have accepted the challenge. The theme for this conference, bringing growth back, economy, education and employment, captures in a nutshell the main thrust of our national agenda for governance, which is the blueprint for our policies. And as such, there is a happy convergence of the government and the Indian industry. Such a participating relationship will enable India to realize her full potential of economic growth and the well-being of our people. I have good reason to be emphatic on this point. Today, not only the global standing of a nation, but also its security, integrity and stability, indeed its very existence as a nation is dependent on its economic strength. I therefore firmly believe that the time has come to insulate the nation's economy as much as possible from the turmoil in its democratic polity. It is high time all sections of our society, including those in business, industry and politics, sank their partisan obsessions and focused their attention on the all-important national imperative growth, more growth and still more growth. With the union budget due for presentation, it is an opportune time to spell out our philosophy. Next, the national agenda has stated in clear and unambiguous terms that my government shall strive to develop a national consensus on all major issues confronting the nation. The problems facing the Indian economy are too many, too complex and far too important to be subjected to a partisan approach. We simply cannot afford to play politics with the nation's economy anymore. This indeed will be the real test of patriotism on the economic front. This point demands candid and even self-critical elaboration. The first phase of economic liberalization was launched in 1991. Some of the reforms brought about positive changes. Unfortunately, the measures taken to free the economy were not matched by checks and balances, and we have paid a price for those lapses. Also, the liberalization process suffered from inadequate attention to the eradication of unemployment and to many critical issues in the social sector such as healthcare, education, and housing. Importantly, it failed to give a momentum to infrastructure development, which is now choking growth. In our view, the reasons lie in the failure of the government to effectively address the core concerns of the Indian industry. They lie in the failure of the Indian industry to appreciate the core concerns of the government. Para. They also lie in the failure of both the government and the industry to convince the common man that he too has a vital stake in the reforms process. That is why during the election campaign, I repeatedly stressed that India urgently needs to reform the reforms process. To explain what we mean by this, let me first enumerate what I think are the three main complaints of the industry against the government, the three main complaints of the government against the industry, and also the three main complaints of the common man against both the government and the industry. The three chief complaints of the industry against the government are: one, industry thinks the government is the root cause of avoidable delays owing to excessive controls. Even after 7 years of reforms, a typical industrialist is forced to spend considerable time in management of the government than in management of his own business. 2. Industry complains that the government takes too much but provides too little, and that too haphazardly. 3. The government is in all those areas of business in which it had no business to be there in the first place. Now let us look at the three chief complaints of the government against the industry. 1. Government feels that the industry does not share its social objectives. 2. The industry wants the government to govern well. Stop.